Are we recording right now?
Yes.
You're on. All right, I'm on. Right, so my demo today is probably a little different than what you guys are expecting. Instead of demonstrating iPerspective, I'm actually going to demonstrate how easy it is to extend iPerspective. Shouldn't take that long. So one of the things that several people have asked is there a way when you publish a package to be able to see everything that's in the package in one place? Right now, what you have to do is you have to actually go out and look at each individual service to figure out its URL, for example. So what we're going to do is we're going to extend iPerspective so that when you create a package, it also publishes a web page for you that you can use. Okay. It also publishes a web page for you that you can use to get a summary view of all of the services that are deployed in your package. Right? So you can see my screen up here. This is our development environment, which is just Eclipse. And we have our projects over here. So I'm going to actually do this in the DBX project. I'm going to go ahead and open DBX, and we're going to start by creating a new template for our web page. So we're going to go down here into our source directory, modules, DBX, templates. And I'm going to go ahead and create a new folder. I'm going to call it web. Folder. Okay, I'm going to call it web. And my source control system is going to ask me what I want to do with this. I'm going to create a new demo task, and I'm going to go ahead and check this out. Okay, so now I've got a new directory here called web, and I'm going to go ahead and create a new file, and I'm going to call that new file, let's see, index html.dm. Okay, so it's a new file. And so what we tend to do is we put a dash and then the type of file we're creating and then .dm. So this is going to be a velocity macro template. Push that up. Okay, so we've got nothing in it so far, so we want to put some HTML in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with just the raw HTML. All right, so what I've got here is I've got a simple web page that has the package name, and then it has a list of RESTful services and a list of SOAP services. Now, obviously, that's not going to show anything right now. It's all can. So what I want to do is put some velocity macro code in here to pull information out of the metadata that iPerspective generates. So let me go pull up my. So instead of just typing it and boring you with that, I'll just paste what I've already got, and then I'll talk about it. So I'm going to go ahead and replace all of this with this. So what you can see I've done is I've got some variables here that represent different parts of our metadata. So we've got our package info and then the name. So that'll be up here in the header. And then I've got a for each statement that's going to loop through the services in the package. And for each RESTful service, it's going to go ahead and set a variable, which is the URI, and then it's going to go ahead and create a link to that RESTful services info call, and then it's going to do the same thing down here with the SOAP services, but put WSDL on the end. Right? So we got that. So now we've got our template. So how do we get the template to actually work? And the way we do that is we've got a file that configures all the builders that get called whenever a package is built. Okay, and it's called earbuilder_config, and that is actually up here in our source modules Java metainf. Right. So we've got our earbuilder_config. So I'm going to open that up. And what this has is a bunch of components in it that actually participate in the build process. So I'm going to go ahead and check this out. And now we need to add a new builder. So we've got our root builder, which is what calls all of these other builders. So we're going to add a brand new builder here, and we are going to call him DBX HTML generator. Okay, and we're going to put him, say, right here. Oops. All right. So what this is telling our builder is when you build, I want you to also call this other builder called DBX HTML generator. And then we have to define the generator. And we've got our own component structure we can use to do that. I basically copied an existing one and made some changes to it. So I'll show you what that looks like. We can discuss it. So I'm going to put that builder right here. So basically what that builder does is he's got a phase that he supports. In this case, it's the build phase. We've got several phases. We've got pre-build, build, post-build, pre-deploy, deploy, and post-deploy. And so he's supported in the build phase. We've got a file writer initializer, which basically tells our generator what file to write. So we're going to write out index.html. And then I could tell it where it's going to write out. In this case, I'm going to write it out to a directory called web app. And so when I build it, I know that that's where my generated file is going to live. Okay. So now if I go ahead and run this, right, it's actually going to build that file, and it will be in the output source. But it won't be put into the packaged ear. So I need to do a few more steps. So the next step is I need to actually edit the Ant build file that we used to build this, and I need to add a new line to it. So let me go and find that. So that build file is actually located in the webamp directory down here. So let's go and open that up under the DBX build scripts. And we've got the build ear here. The other ones here are just backups for other types of builds. I'll go ahead and check that out. And so what I want to do is take that file I just caused to be generated, and I want to add it to the build. So I've got a build web module target down here, and I need to add that right here. So the nice thing about this is that we're using technologies people are familiar with. People are familiar with Ant, they're familiar with Velocity, and so we're actually reusing those. So what I've done is I've simply told Ant, hey, I've got a new file for you to include, and it's all the files within the web app directory that end in .html. So now if I go over here and I build our project, which I will do here, it's going to rebuild the project, and it's going to redeploy the application. Give it a minute. It'll probably be a lot faster without GoToMeeting running in the background. And hopefully this will all work. So while it's reloading, see what I did was I created a new template. I added a builder for that template. And then I added the generated file to my Ant build script. So a simple three-step process to get a new file into the build. Okay, so let me open up the app, and then I'm going to go ahead and share this. Let's see. Let's do. Okay, so here's our app. I'm going to refresh it because I just reloaded it. Give it a second. Okay, and I've already got a deployment target set up with a package called Classic Models. And in Classic Models, I've got a single service in there. I'm going to go ahead and add another service. I'm going to go over to my Classic Models database. And I'm going to add, let's say, offices to there. Okay. Give it a second. Hello. I might not have made it in. do that one more time. There we go. And if I look at my order details, I can see that it is a soap service. So I'm going to make my offices a RESTful service, so at least we have one of each. I'm going to go ahead and edit that. Got REST, update him. So now when I generate this, what I'm going to expect to find, if it all works out, is that I have a new web page associated with this application. So I'm going to go ahead and synchronize it. It's a good sign. I didn't get a fail. Okay, so now he's theoretically out there and deploying, although sometimes he lags a little bit behind. So we'll give him a second. All right. So now if I go to any one of these URLs, that gives me my root URL. So what I actually want to do is get up to this part here, which is where I would expect. And there it is. There's the new generated file right there. And you can see what he's done is he's listed out the SOAP service that I generated and the RESTful service. And if I go ahead and click on one of these links, you can see that it gets me to the info screen for that RESTful service. And if I go and click this one, he gets me to the list. So that's not a really complicated or sophisticated user interface here. But what you can see is with just a few simple steps, I've been able to add a new capability to our generated applications. And clearly we could extend this all day long and add more sophisticated functionality to this. For example, instead of just listing a service, we could actually generate the form that would allow you to test that service out, for example, and then display the results. So there's a lot of things that we can do here, and it's very easy to integrate that into iPerspective.